let's see, recording, there we go. All right, sorry about that. So AMA UCF, we've been a lot of conferences and competitions. A lot of this just came from last semester, getting to attend different conferences virtually with everything going on. So we've gotten to attend conferences hosted by USF, Piedmont College, Temple University. The largest I attended was with Western Regional Conference. It was the 7 different AMA chapters from California that all came together to host like one mega conference. And that was kind of interesting. It was a bit challenging with Zoom and everything, but now I know that if I ever want to like go work in California, I have a bunch of contacts that I could be like, oh, hey, I met you at this AMA conference a few years ago. Where can I get a good place to rent in California? That would be something that I would try to reach out to someone to find information on, to be honest. We competed in a competition with AMA Whitewater, as well as SUNY Genesco. They did some more conferences there. So if you're interested in learning more about like what we did specifically in terms of like the competitions and conferences, you can check out our website to learn a little bit more there. And like I said, all these conferences are virtual, and at least they're expected to be for spring 2021. We competed about 7 competitions in total. So what does an AMA collegiate conference look like? So with that, normally this would all be in person, but you would, so I'm just kind of delivering the information that I've seen so far in these conferences. This is kind of like the general setup. You usually have an opening remarks. You have a keynote speaker come in from some highly established company. I've seen people, someone who's originally from like Smucker's Jam Jelly, like they came in and they spoke to us. So it was kind of interesting to learn more about like that backstory. Then they usually go into like a virtual networking or career fair where they put you in different breakout rooms. You also have the opportunity to kind of pick and choose which sort of companies you want to speak with. And again, it's sort of interesting because you're not limited to the UCF companies that UCF usually works with. You can meet people who like USF is partnered with, who University of New York are partnered with. So you get to meet some really interesting companies that you might not have thought of. Then they tend to have like different guest speakers and workshops. So I've seen ones on like personal branding, how to best sell yourself, or other general like organizational sales. So other types of workshops in those regards, as well as just other guest speaker events. Trying to think of some good examples. We've had people from Tesla, FedEx, people who work more on like the corporate marketing side, as well as like Deloitte and consulting was another big one. Then during these guest speakers and workshop events, we tend to have different competitions also take place, and we'll talk a little bit about those as well. But after like you compete in one of those, you can go back while these guest speakers workshops are taking place, and you could come and revisit those. And then towards the end, there's just the closing ceremony, recognizing the sponsors, guest speakers, and that's when you want to stay in and see if you won the competitions or not too, which is always fun. A really nice thing about these is that they tend to all take place on weekends or on Fridays. So it's a lot more flexible for students who have a tough time fitting that into their schedule. So that's pretty nice. So what sort of competitions can you compete in? Second. All right. So with that, there's lots of different competitions to choose from. Not all of these tend to get like promoted. You don't see all of these competitions hosted at every conference, but you kind of see like 2 or 3 of each of these. So you get elevator pitch competitions where you have to sell yourself. Sometimes it's for a specific role or a specific company, as well as like a mock interview. They both kind of provide you like either a fictional job or a fictional opportunity that you're trying to really sell yourself for, but they do want you to kind of apply like your real personal experiences to that. What's really nice about the elevator pitch and the mock interview competitions is that, and the reason why I put fictional in quotations is because a lot of times these companies are looking to hire AMA marketing students. So if you do really well in these competitions, you know, you can make connections with them. You can get invited back to like an interview, or like in this case, a real interview. So really great opportunities there. They also host graphic design competitions. So if you're feeling more on the creative side, you can help design. I've seen ones where they give you another like creative brief where you learn a little bit more about like a fictional company, and you have to create like the logo, the social media posts, the branding for all of those. Then they also have LinkedIn profile competitions where they kind of just judge your LinkedIn profile in general. Then case competitions, those are a lot bigger where you actually work with a real company. I think this past year, AMA National, they worked with Pods. They're a storage unit company. If you see the logo, it's a bit more familiar, but students worked with that brand. They actually sent out like surveys to like other AMA members to try to get ideas on how like the brand can really improve itself. They also did like a bunch of other studies, and they looked at like the company's like financial reports. So with that, it's a lot of survey work, a lot of research, but those tend to have the highest payoffs as well too, in terms of like prize money or in terms of like potential job opportunities with the company. A bit more creative one is marketing strategy or entrepreneurship competitions, where you get to be a lot more creative with what you want to do. Sometimes they give you a real life problem and you got to try to come up with a business solution for it, or you get to come up with the idea all from scratch. So a really fun one was they came up with like environmentally friendly, sustainable like athleisure for children. That was an interesting idea that I've seen in some competitions, as well as like pop-up boba shops. That one I thought was kind of interesting, that it would be more like you could set it up anywhere to make it a little bit easier. So really interesting ideas. It's ones where like the more creative, the better. But if you also do your research, that does look good too. And then another competition is outbound sales. That's probably it's a scary one, but you actually have to pretend that you are a salesperson, trying to talk to people, trying to keep them on the line so that way they don't hang up on you. You have to try to build rapport with them, handle objections properly. So if you've been in professional selling, with those classes, they really try to prepare you well for those sort of competitions. And if you're also interested in like the professional selling program, I think AMA is a great way to kind of get familiar doing these elevator pitch and these outbound sales competitions, because those are the same types of competitions you'd actually see in the professional selling program as well too. I also wanted to share a little bit of like how these competitions are judged. So this was with AMA USF. This was the Tampa Bay Buccaneers who were hosting the elevator pitch competition. And with that, this was kind of like their criteria. They wanted to see what's your hook, who you are, what really makes you stand out. So coming up with a really creative story can kind of help if you're able to tie that in throughout your elevator pitch. You can describe your experience, like your age or what sort of major you are, what you're looking to do, as well as your goals and aspirations. Doing your research on the company helps out a lot as well too. So if you're able to show that either you can provide like really meaningful questions about like what's going on currently with the company, or you can talk about really specific information that the company has, that's something that would also help you score well in that. My little tip is to always look at the company's financial reports. It's like, because that's where you're going to get like really granular data that no one else is going to think to look on. So always good there. And then having a strong closing as well. And length, 7 to 10 sentences, about 90 seconds or so. Essentially the best way to practice is if you practice around 6 times, I think on average is when you're pretty much good to go on that. Or at least that's been kind of my best tips in terms of like participating in these elevator pitches workshops. Yeah, Naya?
Hi. Being that the Tampa Bay Bucks are hosting the elevator pitch contest, I know that several people will kind of have the same information that they're giving about the company. So aside from mentioning financial records, what else did you do to differentiate yourself from other applicants?
Yeah, so with that, what I really did in my story was I kind of tied it to me and my interest in improv. And I kind of made a little bit of a joke on how, while I may not have presented, what was it? Well, I may not have like played on the football field, I could say that I've pretended to play on a football field. That was like a little creative joke that kind of like worked in as well. What also helped in terms of research was looking at the company's website. If you're able to find information more specifically on like charity related events, anything where like the organization has a specific cause, and you can kind of tie that back into it as well. And then just looking at the company's like general mission statement, That's where if you're able to find out any of like their values, you can really like try to hone that in on yourself and like how that kind of applies to you as well. If they're really interested in, let's say, empowering engaged talent, that would be something where you could kind of talk about yourself as someone who really tries to engage and work in with all that you do. It's kind of things like that. Does that help answer your question? Gotcha. Good. This is another example. So this was an outbound sales competition hosted by Northwestern Mutual. So with this, they give you a lot of information because this is you trying to sell yourself as a pretend financial advisor. So here in like the scenario, you're an advisor for Northwestern Mutual. You worked with the company for the past 2 years. Your friend, he referred you to Jesse, and your friend has also been a client for you for the past 2 years. Jesse is kind of interested, but a little bit skeptical about starting a new relationship. You get background info that Jesse is like a 28-year-old. She's working as a digital media specialist for the Chicago Bulls. She's been doing social media consulting as a side hustle. So they give you like all of this information. So that way you kind of have something to really like tie in with the person that you're speaking with. Like obviously Jesse's not a real person, but when you're calling, you're actually talking to a real like financial advisor from Northwestern Mutual, kind of taking on this persona. And you're going to try to ask them questions based off what they give you in this. So I would maybe ask Jesse, so Brent's told me that you're interested in social media marketing. Do you see that continuing in the long term? And kind of seeing if she's interested in taking her social media side business into like an actual full-on thing, and potentially leaving the digital marketing job that she's at. Like we don't know that, but that's one of the things where you're trying to do one of those need assessments, trying to understand like where she's currently at and where she's trying to get to. So what kind of helps out with these competitions is also doing your research on the company. Northwestern Mutual, during my research, they had like 3 different types of insurance plans. So I was able to kind of tie that in. Like on this left-hand side, this was just the first round of it where I had to like manage a 5-minute conversation with her. The second round, I had to do a whole 10 minutes trying to do more of a needs identification, trying to get even more information. They also update the scenario too, where they give you more information on what she's actually doing. And it just keeps on progressing from there into like the third and final round where you're actually making more of the sale itself. So the first round is getting an idea of like what her career goals, her life goals, or financial goals are. And at the same time, trying to handle objections too. They might ask, they might say that, you know, I don't really think this is like within my budget right now. That's where you have to try to keep them on the line. You would say, oh, you don't think this is going to be within your budget? Well, that's okay. We'll actually decide if this is really worth your time and money later on once we understand more of your goals. Like you're kind of acknowledging, responding, and pivoting. So that way you're still keeping them on the line, but you haven't like ignored what they said. So that's kind of my insight there. Now, how can you attend an AMA conference and competition? So by being a member of AMA UCF, you're pretty much able to attend any conference you want to. We'll give a bit more information on like some of the upcoming ones. There are sometimes some costs to attend any AMA conferences or competitions, but for the most part, as long as you are an AMA member of any chapter of UCF or of anyone, you should be able to attend for free. But if there is any situation where you do really want to attend a conference or competition, let us know and we might be able to work something out where we can actually cover the cost for you. We're starting to look into that as well. Now for competitions, the one thing with that is, one of the things that I found out is that if you don't attend a conference or if you don't attend a competition when you said you were, they take that very seriously because these are actual like industry professionals who take their time to judge students. So not showing up is, it is a detriment. So that can actually lead to our chapter being suspended or any other chapter, not just us, that doesn't show up for the conference or competition. So with that, Trinity has actually been working on a really good program in order to kind of help out with pretty much making sure that our members are kind of showing that they're actively engaged with AMA UCF. Trinity, do you want to cover a little bit more on this?
Hello, everyone. Hold on, I'll take off my mask because nobody's in here. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you. I'm Trinity. I'm the Vice President of Chapter Development for the UCF chapter of AMA. So basically, Grant and I just worked together to come up with this bingo to make it fun. So really, you just need to complete 4 activities and just show proof in order to compete. So just let us know. For the mock interview competition, I thought that it would be a really good idea to complete a mock interview. So you can do it at Career Services or with OPD, which is the Office of Professional Development. You can just sign up for either on My Night Star, and I believe for Career Services, you can sign up on Handshake. I thought that would be really, really nice practice before entering the competition.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree that like doing the mock interview is going to help out a lot, especially for that competition. And right now, like this is something new that we're implementing. If you're interested in attending a competition a little bit earlier and you might not have a bingo, we can talk about that on like a case-by-case basis as we're still working on rolling this project out. But in the coming days, like around early February, we are planning on launching this out. There will have more information on social media about it as well too, so that way you can complete this. This event will actually count as an AMA workshop as well. So we do keep track of like who attends these events and who will be eligible for them as well too. So when are there any upcoming AMA conferences and competitions? So we've kind of hyped them up throughout this event. Or at least I tried my best at trying to hype them up as a really fun thing to do, especially the competitions. And we got a few ones coming up. So Penn State, they're hosting one. This is their 2021 Regional Conference on Social Impact. A lot of the themes have been on navigating the new normal from what I've kind of seen so far. But it's been interesting. So they're going to have people from ESPN. So if you like sports, that's good. Accenture, if you're interested in more management and consulting. Red Bull's a really big one. If you're interested in social media, they're a really good company. They're hiring like crazy for social media people, so they're really looking to build out that team. They're having Starbucks as well coming to speak on there. So that's kind of like their timeline as well. The social media challenge, I'm not sure what they're doing, but with that, I don't think it's anything where you do have to sign up like exclusively through the bingo board for. So if you're interested in just competing for fun, I think that would be an interesting one there to do. And there's no like worry about you not attending that, or like no penalties if you don't attend the social media challenge for whatever reason. So some fun stuff going on there. We'll be providing more information in the GroupMe chat and through our emails as well too on when those are going to be coming out, as well as we get closer to that date with more information. The other one is AMA Pittsburgh. They're having one on February 20th. Again, you also see it's on Saturdays too, because they're trying to keep it on the weekends to make it more. These are conferences by students for students, so they know how busy we all are. So they're bringing in some really cool companies. They have guest speakers, panel events, breakout sessions, networking, and workshops in general. So it's going to be interesting to see how the workshops are. Those are always kind of interesting to kind of just work on and improve there. A lot of interesting companies. And then, in order to attend these conferences and competitions, you have to become a member of AMA UCF. How do you do that? Well, you visit the AMA website, ama.org, to pay the $29 student fee. This is optional, but you can pay the $5 fee to join AMA Orlando. That is completely optional, and you get access to their resources and benefits upon paying that as well too. You can visit ama.orlando.com, or it might be amaorlando.com to learn more about what they offer to their members. Then you'd submit $20 via PayPal to our chapter. That's just for chapter dues to be a member of AMA UCF. And then you just send a screenshot of your AMA receipt and PayPal receipt, and you're officially a member of AMA UCF. And that's pretty much the process in becoming a member of AMA, as well as just getting involved with the conferences and competitions. Again, I think it's a great opportunity. I've had the opportunity to attend a lot of those. It's been a lot of fun. Any questions?
So will we be kind of like posting more information as like we get closer to the competitions on Instagram for everyone to see?
We should be, but for them to attend, they might They can attend some of these conferences on their own, but they would have to pay if they aren't already a member of AMA. So we are trying to promote it a bit more internally, but we can also promote like on our Instagram story a bit more, just resharing some of these posts as well too.
Sounds good.
I have a question regarding AMA membership fees.
Mhm.
I'm interested in paying for AMA UCF fee and then national in the future. Is that okay, or would you rather have the payments together?
It would be preferred just that way it's easier for us to stay on track, but it's no strict timeline. I would say like you're able to become a member of AMA whenever you want to, which is nice because it's just an annual payment. But they are separate like that too. So you do have flexibility. So what I would recommend is if you're really interested in attending one of the conferences and competitions, you could pay like the AMA national fee now, and that way you'd be able to attend and you'd be able to pay like the AMA fee a bit later if you wanted to. Eventually you do have to pay both, but that is like there is flexibility there for sure. And then I saw in the chat, do you have a schedule or calendar for the meetings? Christian, do you want to talk a little bit about some of our upcoming meetings?
Yes, certainly. Can everybody hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. So give me 1 second. I didn't have the calendar pulled up. Let's see here. Cool. So the next event is actually on Thursday. It is a social media marketing event with Sam Hunter. She's from KPMG. She's just going to be going over resources and sharing her experiences on what it's like to work in social media marketing. Then after that, I believe next week, we'll also have a presentation by our very own Grant Smith. And I think he's going to be dissecting further what it's elevator pitch and just more of these competitions and what it's like to assemble when you're competing, what it's like to assemble your elevator pitch and all kinds of stuff. And I think there's prizes involved in that one. Am I right, Grant?
Yes, there is.
Awesome. So if you participate, there may be something there for you. So following after that, we have a workshop event by a UCF alumni by the name of Juan Q. Juan Q is mainly going to be talking about personal branding. He's going to be going over how to stand out in the interview process when you finally get the job. Mainly going to be talking about doing a lot of self-reflection, identifying what your core values are, and essentially just how to stand out, personal branding. So those are the events for this upcoming week and the one after that. So, but above all else, stay up to date with the Instagram page. They do a great job of posting things and letting you know in advance when things are happening.
Nice.
Thank you.
Perfect. But yeah, no, again, thank you so much for attending this event. We're happy to provide more information on any way that we can. And if you have any further questions, feel free to reach out to us, amaucf@gmail.com or at amaucf on Instagram. Thank you.